So Trey Reed, about a couple weeks ago, has reunited a lot of, I won't say fear, but caution when it comes to Black Americans, especially dealing with the Deep South, in particular the state of Mississippi. Now, I have always been nervous about the state of Mississippi myself, and I'll get into why here in a minute. But we have some answers, sort of, when it comes to the Trey Reed second autopsy. And first, let me say, I'm glad we have people who are famous or rich, like Colin Kaepernick, that is willing to step up and try to make right some injustices that we're having in the United States right now. Because realistically speaking, if you have the money to help, why not do so? You can't always take it all with you. And if you really do stand for a cause, you really do stand for justice, like this man has put his career on the line for what he believes in, I am 100% support of him in majority of things he does, and definitely in support of what he's doing right now to help the Reed family. Now, there has been a lot of back and forth, a lot of controversy when it comes to this second autopsy that happened with Trey Reed. And you're hearing a lot of conflicting stories. So I'm going to pick the conflicting stories or the speculations at the end of the video or the end of this live that you can go and watch. And then I'm also going to sit here and just give some more of my opinions and go over some stuff that I've seen online, especially when it comes to the Reed family in general. Okay, so I said I've always been worried about, hesitant or cautious about the state of Mississippi, and that's 100% true. When it comes to the state of Mississippi, that's one of the places that you don't play with because it has a lot of sundown towns. In fact, one could say, unless you're in a primarily Black community or city or town, the whole entire state is a sundown town. Now, I grew up in Florida, and a lot of the times people would go from Florida, drive through Alabama, which is pretty much Mobile, in small towns around that, and go to Biloxi to go to the casinos there a lot of the time. Now, Biloxi is a beautiful city, but it's getting from point A to point B is the nerve-wracking part. And you're told at a very young age, there are certain towns and places that you don't go to, or if you do go, you don't stop, you just keep driving through. And that's how it is in whole for the state of Mississippi until you get to your destination. I never did too much night driving through Mississippi. I don't care what the reason is. Well, anyways, to get on to the story here, there is a few things I want to go over. Now, a lot of people are saying that Trey Reed was depressed and that he did, unfortunately, take his own life. And I don't believe that. No Black person from the South believes that. Let's be real here. I'm not saying that Black men or Black people in general does not have the urge to unalive themselves. We do. We're human, right? But what I am saying is, it's pretty rare and hard pressed to find somebody to say the way they want to go out is hanging if you're a Black American from the South. So with that being said, that put up a lot of red flags to a lot of people. Also, there's a conflicting story. People had a lot of issues that the cousin came out and made a video that made everybody know, that pretty much made it viral. But then they were trying to discredit him, saying he wasn't a cousin, all this other kind of stuff. Either way, it doesn't matter. The man lost his life, and that was the most important part of it. And you notice that whenever something goes outside of a narrative of what they want, they try to discredit the source every single time. And keep in mind, this is right after the time that Charlie Kirk was taken away. So you notice that a lot of people that are this skin color were trying to deflect and ignore the fact that the person that did it was another white person, but still try to find ways to bring Black people into it and take out their frustrations on us when we had nothing to do with the situation. Right? Okay, we can agree with that. So I want to go ahead and disprove this fact that Trey Reed was depressed and suicidal. So what I went ahead and did was I went to his Facebook page. Now, when I went to his Facebook page, and keep in mind, Trey Reed at this time is around 20, 21 years old. And whenever you're at this time, you're discovering yourself, you're maturing, you're becoming the man that you're going to be as when you're really a full-fledged adult. Because 2020, yes, you're legally an adult, but you're not all the way there yet. You haven't fully matured. You haven't fully gained wisdom or walked the miles yet as far as life experience. So I'm going through here, and the post on the 12th was a few days before he lost his life, unfortunately. Being able to read people is half the reason I be on my own. I think everybody has said that to themselves at one point in time. It's very rare, at least people that I know, that have a need to always want to be in somebody's space. Let's see. I'm not going to play that because I'm pretty sure there's music with it. Let's see. Is this playing from the beginning? Oh, here we go. One of the biggest things I learned this year is let things be, let people go, don't chase answers, don't fight for closure, never expect the escalation, which is true. It takes people years to have that realization, okay? And I think that's a family member. Okay. Let's see. Can I pause that? Oops, did I just click on it? Yeah, I don't want to play the music. Let me hit mute on that. Okay. She lies. He cries. She apologizes. She's not sorry. He complains. She doesn't change. And yet he stays. Does that sound familiar? Now, when I'm reading these posts, this sounds like a man who went through a breakup, right? All right, here's another one. Yeah. Hey, hit me on that too. Let's see. The truth is, I don't have the patience anymore. Not for silence, not for late replies, unread messages, the sorry, I was busy text that comes hours later like afterthoughts. I don't have the patience for almost love, for the ones who swear they care but forget how to show it, for the ones who only love me when it's easy. I've been hurt too quietly for too long, and I can't anymore. This heart has waited in too many empty rooms. Now it's learning how to close the doors. Again, that doesn't sound like a depressed person to me. That sounds like a person who went through a breakup and is going through it. That's working through the emotions of that particular breakup. Every single man has been there. We go through that. We work through our emotions and we learn how to set boundaries for ourselves. Let's see. Here's another one. I gave everything I had, every part of me that could love, care, and stay, but it's never enough. And that I watch others receive the same love I begged for without being asked for it. It breaks something inside you, make you question your worth, makes you wonder maybe the problem is always you, and thought quietly it destroys you. And again, have you ever been in a relationship with somebody where you loved a woman, and again, I'm just assuming this is about a relationship, relatable, FYP, heartbroken relationship. You see, this is the tags on there. And what was the tags on the other one? I didn't even look at that. There's no tags on that one, I don't think. Oh, there is. Gym motivation, gym reels, all that heartbroken, healing quotes, healing journey, motivation, love quotes, relationships, her, him, relatable. So all these are just relationship stuff. So obviously he went through a breakup or something. But this is what I'm saying. If you have any type of emotional intelligence, you can tell the difference between somebody who's just depressed and someone who just went through a heartbreak and trying to work through it. It happens. Let's see. Sometimes it hits you hard. They never really loved you. They knew you. That you were okay. So same thing, more heartbroken stuff. That's just what happens. Nothing hurt worse than fighting for a girl who doesn't want to fix things, but at the same time, it just seems like you want. Yeah, been there too. And there's nothing there, right? But here's the thing I find interesting. You know how I said earlier in the video that sometimes there will be people of this skin color that has the situation really has nothing to do with them in the sense of that this is not impacting them directly, but they still want to stick their nose in business. For example, this guy, Mike Gibson, but I thought he wasn't going through anything. Mike Gibson, who does he look like? The usual suspects. Yeah. Usual suspects. Oh! He's holding a pew. And he's this skin color. It's not surprising. Now, if I was to go out stereotypes in the most recent news articles, if you're a judge, student, or just a random bystander, you need to stay away from us, stay in fear. Right? Let's go back. let's see here. Let's go back. I could have swore. Here we go. But you will say he wasn't depressed. You will say he wasn't depressed. Don't know what he means by that. Snap. Let me go back. There we go. Trying to stop that music. Here he goes. Anyways, that is expand the comments. And this is 2 weeks ago, right after he passed away. So like I said again, whenever something happens and that there's some type of white tea guilt in there, they always want to attack us instead of taking responsibility or just being quiet. But you would say he wasn't depressed. Then this person named Kristen Brooke Elmore, let's see, he was is very clear. And let's see, Mike responds back to her. Yes, I meant they will say he wasn't. Let's see what Kristen looks like. Oh, the exact same thing. And look at that. Look who she has right there. Charlie Kirk. Yep. Usual suspects. So she posted something on the 18th from the first autopsy, more Charlie Kirk stuff. So clearly, yeah. Now, there is a rumor going around, and I say it's rumor because I haven't found anything or any statements from any family members that said that he was doing this. So essentially, a lot of people are saying that he was defending his sister because she made some comments about Charlie Kirk, and he was facing off against 4 white tea people, right? Supposedly that's what I've been hearing. Other things is that they made rumors about his preferences, and that was the issue. You hear a lot of things, but either way, though, you can just tell that there's something off with here. So, I did not load that up. Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna load this up because I got a couple of screenshots from, I believe it's the aunt. Let me do this as a slideshow. Oh, wait, create that one. Add files. Now, I didn't want to go to the aunt's page directly, but her name's right there. I guess you could if you wanted to yourself. But this is the first post that she had on the 16th. This is kind of small. It'll be a little hard for me to read. Let me see here. This is on September 16th, shortly after this happened. Rumors are spreading so fast in Trey's incident. I'm going to state this. His family hasn't stated anywhere that he had any broken body parts. Their family doesn't have any information nor answers to what happened. We are waiting, therefore don't say the family said anything. This is extremely emotional. Stop sharing false stories. If you want to do anything for the family, just say a prayer. There is no GoFundMe made from the family. It's a scam. Which I think that's a really people who make fake GoFundMes for tragedies like this need to be arrested, in my opinion. I'm very curious who made the page and why. I mean, the why is most likely for the money, I'm going to assume, but I just want to know who. I feel like if you made a page and you're a disgusting enough person to make a page to take advantage of a tragedy that has sparked an emotion across America, to try to profit off of that, I think you should be exposed everywhere. And that's just my personal opinion. Let's continue. Now, this one was on October 3rd when the second autopsy was supposed to happen, right? Let's see. The autopsy was inconclusive, meaning not completed. Lack of evidence and evidence. Wait, watch it. Write that twice. Lack of evidence and evidence are still pending. Every day is something with what social media has said. Both families are grieving and doesn't need all of y'all sitting and repeating what y'all heard. I'm sick of it, and I will not make another status about the situation. Blunt force trauma was discussed, but they are still piecing together evidence. Have a great Friday. Now, not all family members know information the same, right? I'll give you an example. When my grandfather passed away, not everybody knew what he passed away of. There was speculation. Some family members were sure that he passed away of cancer. Some family members were sure he had a heart failure. There were some family members, they all thought they knew what happened to him, but they didn't. So there was only a small group of people that truly knew what happened, what the situation was. And I'm not going to disclose what that is right now, but it's just the fact not every single family member knows what's going on, right? So I'm not saying she wouldn't be in the know, but clearly she's close enough to ideally speak. But however, though, Willie D did an interview with somebody who's in direct contact with the mother, who's part of the Black Panther Party, I believe. So let's go ahead and get this. Wait, wrong thing. Get this taken out. Get this and hit play. I'm only going to play like the first 5 minutes, and I encourage you guys to go watch it. It's an hour and 41 minutes. I'm not going to sit here for an hour and 41 minutes and go over every single detail, but I feel like the first 5 minutes of it does have some very crucial information that you should go. It will answer questions, and that you should go for yourself and listen to the whole entire thing.
Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Delta State University student Trey Reed was found hanging on campus. And while the first autopsy confirmed that it was a suicide, the second one, funded by Colin Kaepernick, told an entirely different story: homicide. Today, I'm joined once again by new Black Panther Party National Chair Crystal Muhammad to dig deeper into those findings and what they mean going forward. Crystal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Willie. Black Power, and I really appreciate you for having me on your show and for staying consistent and persistent with being in the front of exposing the truth about what's really going on in the case of Trey Reed. As you mentioned, there was an autopsy that came out, from the coroner's office in Mississippi, in Cleveland, Mississippi area. And unfortunately, as we suspected, it was a larger part of a cover-up of the actual murder.
What was the single most damning piece of evidence that proved this?
Well, the most damning proof evidence is the fact that this young man was placed the way he was placed in a hung position, in which we actually do have the pictures. You know what I'm saying? But we are respecting the request of the family, to not reveal it at the moment. But we knew what we were looking into, because there's been a series of lynchings going on in Mississippi that have not been exposed to the national light or even got due justice.
And I believe that 100%, because I still remember when the news came out, there was, I forgot how many bodies they found behind a prison, I believe, that was never reported. People who just disappeared. I think it was like 300 bodies. I got to look it up. But that doesn't surprise me when it comes to the state of Mississippi. There is just something inherently, I won't say evil, but just devious about that state. I don't know how people who look like me, of my skin complexion, stay there. I just don't know how you do it.
Now, with this case, last night, I did talk to Trey Reed's mother, Miss Sophia Reed, and she was very upset. We have been on the ground several times. When I'm saying we, the members of the New Black Panther Party, other community members, other community leaders, concerned people doing independent investigations, fact finding into what actually happened with Trey, and hitting the ground. The majority of the people know the truth about what's going on. And so, and there's a lot of people that are witnesses. There are a lot of people who have very relevant information about what took place, but the so-called authorities, the police department, the sheriff department, the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations, have not only dropped the ball, but they're complicit in an absolute cover-up. At this point,
yeah, I know I paused it, but I just want to kind of address what I was saying earlier. I did find it. It was more than 200 bodies were found buried in unmarked graves behind a Hinds County penal farm in Jackson, Mississippi jail. And the bodies were buried there between 2016 and 2024. So yes, the bodies were behind the jail. Every single, the MBI, the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, the local police and sheriff, they all had to be in on that to bury and get away with that many bodies. And I don't know how it was discovered, but that's another video in itself. So yes, Mississippi, you will see some quote unquote strange fruit there if you're not a local and don't know how to move. And anyways, let me just go ahead and continue.
They're part of a conspiracy to cover up a murder as it stands. Now, speaking with the mother last night, and I heard, as soon as I knew what was going on, I made a point to call you because I know you've heard from me, Willie, but I wanted you to hear the mother's voice and let her tell you in her own words. So we are not speaking from what we heard or secondhand. We're hearing it directly from the horse's mouth. And I've been given the green light to put the word out about a call to action that we're going to be letting you guys know in just a few moments. But let's get to it.
Can you walk us through?
Second autopsy.
No. Can you walk us through the specific injuries or findings the second autopsy revealed that the first one ignored?
Yes. The first one ignored. It said there was no lacerations, no signs of foul play. But guess what? Here it goes. This baby had blunt force trauma to the back of his head. This young man, Trey, he had not a fractured, but a sprung leg. He had bruises all up his back and on his butt cheeks, on his jawbone, on his face. At the funeral Saturday, you can see visible lumps on the brother's face and bruising. A lump on the side of his face and bruising.
So a sprained leg. Meaning he could have been trying to fight back or run. I mean, it's a lot of ways you could sprain your legs. So that's kind of hard. But the bruises on his back are all the way down to his glutes. And then to his chin. So that means he was punched in the face. And then lumps on the face. But somehow they said that this was he took his own life with all that. And let's say that he did take his own life. Let's say that he did. What happened to him before to make him want to take his own life? Because was he jumped, beaten, and threatened to the point he didn't know where to turn to? And that's what I mean, that people don't always want to know why something happens. They just look at what happens and accept it for what it was. Because if you look at the why, you won't like the answers you get.
So this whole notion
I'm sorry, I said I was just going to play the first 5 minutes, kind of got caught into it. But yes, go check out Willie D Live's page. You'll see it right there down here. To watch the whole thing, it's a good hour and 40 minutes. It gives a lot of information. It makes you think a lot. But yeah. Anyways, I did say how I was going to play what other people's thoughts and feelings on the situation is. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then I'm going to close out the video.
We finally got that second autopsy for Trey Reed, and it was exactly what I expected. First things first, there was patterns and sign that shows he was being strangled with a belt that wasn't his because it was 3 times his size. Second of all, there were multiple blunt forces to the back of his head, which means he was in conflict with other individuals. Third, where Trey Reed was first discovered, that spot is well known for being no cameras on campus, which means this attack was planned out accordingly. Before, Trey Reed's phone was not returned to his family, yet the GPS was also moving. Which brings me to number 5. Suspicious text was sent saying the buckle broke, which makes me curious if the belt they were talking about was the one they used on Trey Reed. And here is the last one, and this was the nail on the coffin. Just days before Trey Reed's death, he got into an altercation with a group of white guys for defending a black student who made some comments about Charlie Kirk's death on the internet. Repeat what I just said, Charlie Kirk. I knew when Charlie Kirk passed away that these white supremacists, these racists, was going to be emboldened by his death, by his words, and they were going to take their anger out on black people. The fact that none of this is surprising to me is absolutely saddening and sickening at the same time. But
you know, that guy Onyx is a great TikToker. I like watching his videos. Y'all should definitely go check him out.
Additionally, now that we know the police department was involved and they ruled it as a self-unalive as quickly as they possibly can to avoid any problem. Screw suing them. They're not going to learn their lesson that way. They must be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law and be placed behind bars. Every single one of them.
Trey Reed's second autopsy came back and they ass in trouble. Delta State University is in trouble. I told y'all that they were gonna lie. I told y'all they were trying to cover that shit up. Look at this shit. Blunt force trauma to the back of the head. Hear me out. Blunt force trauma to the back of the head. Y'all some pussies. Y'all had to wait till that man back would turn just to knock him out, just to get him in the tree. And I told y'all, people from Mississippi don't unalive themselves by hanging themselves. What really pissed me off that it was black men in my inbox telling me that, oh, you act like black men don't hang themselves. They don't. Where you from? Another thing, for the people that telling me to shut up and stop posting the family, me and Trey Reed mama already talked. We talked like 2 weeks ago. She had already hit me up and was thanking me. I'm not even gonna show y'all the message, but I am gonna say this. She said that she's not scared. She's not running. They doing everything in this world to break that woman. But at least y'all can do is support her. Because remember, Delta State University, they lied to this lady. In the first hour of them finding Trey Reed in a tree, they had already said he did it himself. It was a suicide. I told y'all that was a lie. And I keep getting this message right here. The chief of police is black. The coroners, they black. The DA is black. Why would they cover everything up? Shit, that's what we trying to find out. That's what we trying to find out. Why would they cover it up? Guess it's better than mine. Matter of fact, ask Delta State why they covering it up. Ask Delta State how much money they paid them to try to cover it up. The thing is that Delta State University didn't know that they were going to do a second autopsy. Because let's just be honest, how did you miss the blunt force trauma on the first?
Because to address the part that he said that why would they cover it up? They're all black. Just because you have a position of power doesn't mean you're in power.
Autopsy. How did you miss that? Ain't no way y'all missed that. Money. Let me just say this as well. They know exactly who did that to Trey Reed. They know exactly how many it was. They even know the names who did it. Guess what? They gonna hide that too. You really think them white folks and let their kids be all over the news, they gonna fuck their whole family history up? That shit ain't finna happen. Them white folks finna pay how much money they can pay to save their kids' face. But like I told y'all, all this shit is about money, and saving their family face. Now, the way they did Trey Reed was probably like a 2 or 3 minute process. It hit him back of the head, knocked him unconscious. It had to been like 3 or 4 people just to pull this shit off. I gotta remember, that rope was already tied and ready to go. Once they knocked him out, only thing they had to do was put the rope around him and just and go. That's a 2 or 3 minute process with 3 or 4 dudes involved. It happened that fast. Now, all the students that's at Delta State University, y'all better listen up and listen up closer. Them kids that did that to Trey Reed, they gonna get away scot-free. One of y'all gonna be next.
Unfortunately, he's not wrong. I don't, realistically speaking, especially if somebody, one of the people that may have done this to him, if they have a family member, well, let's be real here. How that works on a good old boy system. So they could be related to, they could have a family member or a cousin that's in one of those positions of power, and they're going to do whatever they can to protect them. They will get away with scotch free. Because keep in mind, they made Nat Turner disappear, and they ate him. They eat black people. It's well documented.
Y'all gonna be next, because guess what? If they get away now, they gonna feel like they can keep getting away with the shit. Walk around in groups if you have to. Use air tags. If you walk by yourself, be on the phone with somebody that can protect you, that's close by to you. Like I said before, stop the partying down there. Right now, shit finna get hot for Delta State. Shit finna get hot for Delta State University right now. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna pay attention and see what Delta State University got to say about all this shit that's going on and why they lied. And we're gonna get to the bottom of this shit.
We have some very important updates to share in the alleged self-unaliving of Trey Reed. Thanks to Colin Kaepernick, we now know that this was not a self-inflicted ending. We have clear evidence of what could very well be a homicide. Trey Reed, a 21-year-old student at Delta State University, Mississippi, was initially found alive by hanging on campus, with authorities quick to rule this as self-inflicted. However, new information has emerged following a second independent autopsy funded by Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights campaign, which suggests that Reed suffered blunt force trauma to the back of his head. That's inconsistent with self-harm by hanging. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump has joined the case to demand a full, transparent reinvestigation into this young man's death, citing broader concerns over similar cases involving black men in the state of Mississippi. More attention needs to be brought to this case. Not enough people know about these updates about the second autopsy, the role that Colin Kaepernick played, or how we must demand justice from the state of Mississippi.
But we finally...
All right, and that's it for me, you guys. If you watched all this, go ahead and subscribe. You might as well, right? But if you haven't, that's fine too. Like and comment. Let's get the discussion going. And if you don't share my video, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you had a conversation. Had a conversation with your family. Have a conversation with your friends, the people that you love and care for. That right now we are living in very dangerous times. And that we gotta stay woke, alert, and protect each other. Have a good day.